Hello Aries, welcome back to Will's Cartomancy Tarot. I like to go on and get you started with your romance reading, which is going to be valid until June the 15th. Today I'm going to be using the regular deck of cards, and as always, to save down on some time, I've already shuffled the deck and presented and illustrated the cards as we see here. Okay? So Aries, prior to getting into your reading, let's go on and just make a few general assessments prior to getting into your cards. I'm going to first just look at your suit here. Okay, we have a predominance here of spade, cards, and clubs. In Aries, this combination suggests that you're contemplating what actions you or someone else might need to take in regards to your situation. You know, since it's spades, there might be a bout of some sort, bickering, arguing. You might regard the situation as war. Thinking, strife, worrying, or perhaps debating, questioning are the mental struggles that might really crop up, and keep in mind, Aries, that spades require action of some kind in order to kind of make something right. This can indicate anything from health problems, financial, or marital ones, or quarrels and dissent of many kinds. Sometimes, Aries, they might even suggest that the only thing you can do is accept defeat, walk away and do something else. They therefore predict tremendous agitation, activity, or acceleration, because they really show that the last stages of effort before the final results are kind of brought in. So, since there are just as many clubs present, you might feel very ambitious, in regard to your situation. And perhaps you might regard this situation as a potential challenge or adventure and enterprise. Aries, you might also need to kind of negotiate something, or perhaps carry out a task, or move halts, or take care of business matters. Also, there might be a possibility of a new relationship, a larger, social life. But Aries, sometimes the danger of kind of making so many plans, promises that nothing really gets off the ground, or you really can't keep. In this case, try to examine your friendships and don't get, burnt out, trying to take on too much in the way of responsibility. There also could be some type of a problem in conjunction with property. You understand what I'm saying? So also I'm feeling that, interesting enough, there are no cups in your reading. So this would, we would really expect to kind of see this in a romantic reading. So since there are no hearts are being present, this kind of shows that perhaps Aries, a frivolous crust that isn't really substantial enough to kind of constitute a true emotional connection. Romantic intentions, might be best suited elsewhere, or focus inward is probably is in order for you guys. Equally valid, I'm kind of feeling that perhaps the object of your affections may not be as interested in you at present. Okay? Let's move right along and look at your color interpretation. Most of your cards here are very gloomy and they're dark cards. So this would suggest that, Aries, the sun, that's represented usually by this only red card that you have here, is trying to kind of come out and shine on your relationship, but it looks like it's having a hard time because of all of the dark clouds that we see here. Perhaps you need to kind of turn up the sunlight by kind of putting yourself out there, which would be this red quality, and kind of let all your overburdened thoughts and kind of inner concerns, which would be these black qualities here, take a rest instead of call the shots. And when you have all of these dark cards here, you're probably likely to be staying up late at night, having a lot of health issues, pains, and all of that stuff. And this is due to your, staying up a little bit too long, okay? All right? So let's move right along and look at your number trend here. After adding up all of the numbers here, I come up with a quintessence of 7. So this reading shows success, Aries, a retreat, victory concerning ideals or even personal ambitions, soul unfoldment, because it's really a soul number. It's asking you really, Aries, to listen to your dreams for the answers to your everyday problems. And it says, don't hesitate any longer. Rather do something immediately to kind of make things happen. It says, choose to be happy. And the only way you can do this is to kind of let go of fear and doubt. Okay? Now, since most of the prevailing numbers here are mostly middle numbers as well, your situation is already established or ongoing, Aries, and your question is kind of in the midway stage of this matter. And you're about to experience major changes in your life. And I feel that you're going to become, I feel you're going to become closely involved with others, and you're going to take part in activities that couldn't be managed alone. Okay, let's look at a few card combinations here. You have 2 aces falling there. And this shows that, it's all, when you have 2 cards there, it always shows an element of surprise. And this combination shows that, a union or partnership is likely to occur for you. But keep in mind that this could denote trickery, collusion, or betrayal. Remember, they're dark cards. Okay? And there might be also some type of a delay. Okay? And having those 2 aces there too as well, Aries, it indicates stuck energy as well. You haven't mastered or learned the lesson of this ace. Hence, this is why it repeats itself. It wants you to begin on a new level of doing things, and perhaps you constantly keep going back to not finishing things, And that's why it keeps repeating itself. It shows bigger, personal stakes, that's involved here. And since you have 2 black aces here, Aries, it reveals a loss of money and perhaps a broken friendship somewhere. Okay? And since the ace of heart and ace of diamonds are kind of missing, Aries, I'm feeling that, the changes may not have anything to do with love or money at all. It more so might have to do with pleasure or kind of new friends that may come in your life and perhaps your social life. Okay, now let's go on and look at a few combinations here. We have the ace of spades here, and it's running with clubs there. So I'm feeling that financial matters are going to come to a head for you. Okay, I see the 6 of club here. We connect that with the ace of club. Some of you might be interested in perhaps a public speaking job, or maybe into public speaking, or have a desire. Some of you might already be doing that. Okay, we also have the king of spades, and we were to combine that with the 4 of diamonds. That shows a miser type person, or someone trying to hold on to what they have, and it could be either male or female. Let's look at a few elementary dignitaries. And Aries, just to remind you, when one element is combined with another, these 2 elements form a reaction which can kind of result in either a positive, negative, or neutral effect. Okay? We have the 6 of clubs here. Let's combine that with the king of spades. That's fire and air. So the element of air tends to strengthen fire, and the creative energy of fire coupled with the mental agility of air, it brings much mental creation, Aries, in the form of visions and ideas. So when a touch of air is kind of blown onto a burning ember, the flame is going to intensify and strengthen. Okay, so therefore it's always necessary, what we see here is to kind of temper air and fire so that these 2 elements enhance each other, okay? We also have the king of spades, and let's blend that with the 4 of diamonds there. That's air and earth. But unfortunately, when earth is coupled with air, this influence tend to kind of weaken a little bit, okay? And, it's like it produces a conflict of material versus mental concerns, or perhaps analytical thought processes versus reality when you see that type of combination, okay? And now we have the 4 of diamonds, and let's combine that with the ace of club. That's earth and fire. So this combination has really little effect on one another. And then we return back to fire and air energy as from the onset with the ace of club, which is fire, and then the ace of spade, which is air. It strengthens the energy at the end, okay? Let's move right along into your reading and examine the bottom card here, which is the 5 of spades, okay? So with the 5 of spades, Aries, Venus is in Aquarius, but of course it can represent a Gemini or perhaps a Libra, So this card is all about, Aries' potential defeat and perhaps argument, It denotes failure, an atmosphere of tension that seems to have, come about. It usually depicts cheating, deceit, unfair tactics, or somehow the desire somehow to brutalize someone out of the spite of possibly vindictiveness. Okay? So keep in mind that this card usually comes about when really one party cheats on another or takes away someone away from another, like husband and wives cheating as well as spiteful lovers. It kind of signals a need to kind of put the rest, really past disputes. Since there's really no profit repeating those arguments, it's their Aries. So this card also says that other people's opinion, even those of your parents, might still have a bearing on your situation. It says that you want to be in a supportive relationship, but you certainly won't be willing to sell your soul to get it. And this card therefore says that at the moment you are kind of encountering hatred and maliciousness. It says that either someone did you very dirty and you are longing for revenge or vice versa. But keep in mind, usually there is no winner with this card, Aries, even if one appears to kind of walk off victoriously. It says resist the need to kind of counter lies with lies. And for you singles out here, it might even suggest that perhaps someone that you probably have just met or just recently met might have blocked you out somehow, may have stopped calling you, And with that card, but it doesn't mean that things, won't really get any better for you. Okay? Let's move right along and look at your current situation. We have the Six of Clubs falling in that position. And with that card, Aries, Jupiter is in Leo. Or could certainly represent another Aries or Sagittarius. So this card is all about optimism, success, and good news, perhaps via an email, phone call, or even a letter. This card indicates that your lover is certainly going to acknowledge your values and that you can certainly make great strides in your relationship, but you might need to consider other people's opinion to kind of prevent you from kind of getting carried away somehow, Aries. Because this card kind of shows that you might want, things to be a bit differently or better than what they are, and you're full of conviction, and it appears, perhaps even a younger individual might try to win your affection, And perhaps, just looking at the cards that kind of surround you here, you have the kind of two spades surrounding you there. So perhaps an injection of action you need to make and perhaps make a decision. But I feel that patience is going to be required of you. And traveling may be in store for the two of you too. I'm kind of feeling that perhaps the two of you have recently overcome a past conflict surrounding past people in your relationship, or you receive great news, or now you feel relieved, victorious in some way. This card even forebodes well, Aries, for an improved sex life, but someone might try to coerce you into doing something sexually that you'd rather not do. So keep that in mind and kindly say no if that's not what you really want, Nevertheless, the energy and time that you expended should now pay off, okay? Therefore, this card is kind of urging you to relax and to kind of persevere despite any difficulties that you might be encountering, because conditions of renewal are certainly approaching. And it shows that you have great faith that your relationship is going to work, And singles, I feel that if you're starting this relationship, I feel that you're more so in a new relationship. I feel that you would be more so in the early stages of this. Okay, let's move right along and look at what kind of moves you internally. We have the King of Spades there. So, of course, this card represents an air sign. It can be a Libra, Gemini, or an Aquarius. And it could certainly represent either a husband or a close friend or a lover that you're kind of concerned about. And it says that you're going to be fearful about your future and your interaction with others. And as a result, you're going to kind of try very hard to kind of release, the pain from your past, But understand that this card does have a tendency to be selfish. So with that said, you might want to kind of be in a relationship where you can do as you please, Aries, without really having to make a commitment. Or perhaps you could just as easily be fascinated by this king who is possibly in the legal, government, state, or law enforcement profession. This king could possibly be a doctor, an insurance agent, a corporate manager, a computer analysis, or etc. This king, it can be a male or female. They can be very witty, charming, and commanding, but they're very authoritative and judging. And in his or her more distressed mode, he or she might be overly critical, impersonal, rigid, or dictatorial, impatient, and possibly uncaring as well. Okay? So let's move right along and look at, your lover's attitude towards you. We have the Four of Diamonds showing in that position. So with the Four of Diamonds, Aries, the Sun is in Capricorn. And of course, this Four of Diamonds could also represent an earth sign completely, with Virgo and Taurus also included. So Aries, this card is all about selfishness and an inability to for one to open up to another. Perhaps someone might be trying hard to hold on to his or her own security, and there are blocks standing in the way. Therefore, your lover really sees you as a bit stingy, or an individual who always try to play it safely, even in emotional matters. He or she might even see you as a liar or cheater, perhaps. He or she simply feels you are too overcautious, and feel if he or she wants you, he or she will need to develop more patience, humor, and perhaps a bit more subtlety. He or she feels your uptight attitude, perhaps due to your fears, which inhibits his or her enjoyment of sex with you, I feel. Okay? Let's move right along and look at your attitude towards your lover. And we have the Ace of Clubs fall in that position, and that refers to a fire sign. It could be an Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. And this card refers to a new beginning, a rebirth. It stands for really the chance to be happy and optimistic about something. Therefore, you see your lover as a positive person with whom you feel you could potentially have a good chance for a successful relationship, Aries, despite, some challenges that you've encountered from time to time. This card says that you can easily win over your lover if you just send off some sparks that would make your relationship hot and sexy again. Unless you are waiting for a chance to break out of this relationship. And in any event, this card is asking you to do something adventurous, even courageous. Be open for something new. Perhaps a phone call or a letter is in order. Okay? Let's move right along and get you some advice here. In closing this reading out, we have the Ace of Spades here. And with the Ace of Spades, it refers to an air sign, so it can be a Libra, Aquarius, or a Gemini. And this card denotes a strong need for communication and to establish what you want in a relationship, Aries. It says that the timing is certainly undoubtedly right for you to take action despite thoughts to the contrary. Thus this card asks you to make decisions promptly that are overdue. Either you need to make a decision to make a move forward with another, or distance yourself. However, in any event, Aries, now is the time to clarify this matter, which might all not be as easy as hoped. But have faith, be determined, and let nothing keep you from gaining what you want, because when all is said and done, tensions are going to ease off and a new love or a rekindled relationship is on the horizon. Okay? And since, this ace appears last, it says an opportunity is going to present itself. And you'll need to be prepared for an unexpected, emergency, or perhaps a bitter fight, because this is a spade with someone who wants to be the boss. Okay? And in the event, also I'm feeling that the person that you're dealing with could potentially be at a distance too from you, for some of you. Okay? So Aries, this is what I have for you. As always, I'm going to be doing more readings for you guys. And as with any reading, this reading may have not resonated with everyone, but for those of you for whom this reading was meant, I certainly would be interested in listening to your comments. And Aries, please take a moment to just, go back and check your subscriptions to make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not, please resubscribe. And again, I look forward to hearing your comments. For those of you who are interested in a more personalized reading, you can certainly contact me at WAT61073@gmail.com. Enjoy your day.